I just noticed my gnome over here on the ground. That's our gnomey friend that typically keeps the door open so one of our cats does not close himself in rooms because he likes to close the door on himself and get stuck in rooms. Everybody, welcome back to Plant-Based Alley. My name is Alicia and welcome to my channel. I've been wanting to do a sit-down video for a little bit and just kind of talk about my vegan journey and how I got to this point, just really everything behind it, because I know that before I went vegan, I had a lot of questions, and maybe I didn't even have a lot of questions, but I definitely didn't have a lot of answers. I wasn't really curious and wondering what veganism was or what it meant, but I do know that I had no idea what it meant. I had no idea just kind of the whys behind it. And I think that it's very easy for society to create a stigma around veganism, but I think that it's very important for people to understand why a lot of people go vegan and the benefits that it actually can do for us, especially right now, for our earth and just kind of where we're at. But I want this to be a fun, lighthearted video also. So I just want to talk about my story and what got me to now 3.5 years vegan. My husband and myself went vegan together on March 26, 2018. We call it our veganiversary and we like to celebrate it every year. But I wanted to actually talk about before I went vegan to start off. So I used to eat your standard diet. In 2018, I was 27. So for 26, 27 years of my life, I was not eating a vegan diet. And I like to always remind people when I have a conversation about veganism with anyone that's not vegan, that I was also that person that if anyone would bring up the concept of being vegan to me, I would always say I couldn't live without cheese. Like, don't even talk to me. If you haven't had a grilled cheese sandwich, change is great. So change just means that we are growing, we are learning, and it's okay if things that we thought before, we said before, end up not being what we think, feel, or do in the future. So I am not that person that used to say I could never live without cheese. I'm now in a place where I'm so excited that I've been eating the diet that I've been eating, and I can't imagine changing in any world whatsoever not having a vegan diet. Like, I want to get a tattoo that says vegan, and not to prove how serious I am, but I think that that does speak volumes by itself, knowing that I'm okay with sticking that on my body because this is my lifestyle. I'm so excited to make this video, but I also don't want to just ramble off in a bunch of directions, and I want it to make sense. So I want to start from the beginning and start with, what does vegan mean? Eating a vegan diet, what does that even mean? That means not eating anything that came from an animal, that is an animal, that took the use of an animal body, like in the creation process of something. And I know that last little bit was kind of confusing, so let me tie that specifically to sugar. So sugar, for the most part, you think that's vegan. It's literally, it's sugar. But a lot of the times they will filter it through bone char, and that makes the process not vegan, so that makes some sugars not vegan. So that's what that means. And then if you are vegan with your vegan lifestyle, that also means that you're then expanding it past just your diet, but you don't want to buy things like clothes or bed sheets, bed frames, anything that you are able to control how it is made and what is put into it. You don't want to buy anything like that that has silk or wool or anything that came from an animal leather. We focus on just living our lives in the same way that everybody else does, but the things that we consume and we utilize are, for the most part, all made from some kind of plant out there. And it's great because living in 2021, and even I'm sure, I'm not saying, I mean, to be honest, it's probably the best that it's ever been now. I can guarantee you that. But you could be vegan decades beforehand and buy things decades beforehand. But right now, being in 2021, especially myself living in Southern California, but I also think that this is very possible anywhere, especially because we can buy stuff online nowadays. It's so possible to be vegan. You can buy anything that's been veganized. If I have a craving, if I have something I used to like to eat, I'm going to be able to find it out there in a vegan form. So literally anything, or I could make it. I used to make a pumpkin cheesecake before I went vegan that I was obsessed with. I've made that since being vegan, veganized, and it's also amazing. I'll probably make that this fall on this channel. see if I can make it a little bit healthier, but So before going vegan, like I mentioned, I didn't really think about it. I just ate what I ate. I wasn't conscious of what was in the clothes that I was buying. I wasn't really putting two and two together. I say that with a grain of salt because I also want to say I wouldn't eat anything that looked like an animal. So I understood the concept, like on Thanksgiving when you got the turkey in the middle of the table. That was not my deal. So I guess I was in both camps, depending on the category. I was living in bliss and ignoring a lot of things, but then also some things kind of irked me in a way. I would avoid them, but then probably intentionally just not think about it, because I clearly never looked into veganism. I never looked into, well, I don't want to have a turkey, but what about milk? What about cheese? What about eggs and things? So I was probably just complacent, lazy, happy with my life, and just kind of kept going. And I would have a couple conversations with people, would have conversations with me actually every once in a while and just bring up the concept of veganism. I never knew anybody that was vegan. I'm pretty sure before I myself went vegan, I don't believe I had any friends that were vegan. I did have some friends that were vegetarian. Even growing up, my mom would feed me a lot of like tofurkey. And I remember having the tofuti sandwich bars that I now see in Jimbo's. And I'm like, as a child, I used to have these all the time. So my mom would even eat a lot of stuff in that way when I was younger. But I was also, I shouldn't say forced, but when you're growing up, it's very much like your parents make something and you're supposed to eat everything. So I was heavily encouraged to eat things that I did not enjoy eating. But I also grew up on cheese. Like, my blood probably was cheese. My mom used to call me Alicia Dia because I ate so much cheese. And like I mentioned, that was a thing that I would always tell people, like, I could never live without cheese. You want me to be vegan? Are you crazy? What are you talking about? But I have cheese, milk, fish sticks, chicken nuggets, hot dogs, like really the processed stuff is what I was eating. And I would have eggs in things like baked goods, bread, stuff like that, but I wasn't having like scrambled eggs or anything. Fast forward a little bit, working in the food industry, trying to be healthy, trying to be what I thought was healthy. I then forced myself to start eating chicken, eggs, egg whites, thinking that was the right track to go down. Didn't lose any weight for a permanent time span, got engaged, had a little bit more time on my hands, started watching a lot of YouTube videos on weight loss. And that's kind of what brings us all of that rambling now to I started watching YouTube videos. I was watching High Carb Hannah. She was vegan. I was planning to do everything that she was talking about, but just throw in eggs and chicken and not be vegan and just appreciate the mindset or whatever she was talking about and just glean off of that. So I did that for a couple weeks, and she would mention these documentaries, and I finally one day was just like, you know what? I'm going to watch one of those documentaries. But I watched What the Health and I watched Forks Over Knives. And those two really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I had my husband watch them with me again. And I probably also watched them then again because it was just so much information I hadn't heard before. And I was very mind blown. I felt like I had been living in a bubble. The world had been lying to me. And I needed to know more information. So we just kept watching more. I watched Dominion. Honestly, you can even just watch the trailer to Dominion. It will make me bawl. But the documentary Dominion, I don't know if I ever need to watch it again, but I've seen it. And it is in there and it is ingrained. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Game Changers, that's a newer one, but that one's also really good and definitely should be on the top of the list for people to watch. I think it takes a great different direction and approach and perspective to the whole concept of being vegan, especially in relation to sports and fitness and recovery, everything surrounding that. So if you're really into sports and fitness, I think that Game Changers would be the first one I would suggest for you. And please, if you watch it, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. If you watch any of these, let me know what you think. That's another reason that I'm making this YouTube channel, is I would love to be able to spread the knowledge that I've been able to learn, and maybe people want to make a shift like myself and my husband have made a shift in our lives because we've only had positive results out of it. Jared's always joking that like we're still alive. I can't believe 3.5 years and we're still alive. Of course, we weren't going into it thinking we were gonna die, but like conceptually, we are taught that you need to have animal product in your body to live. And we're discovering that that's not how it is. And not only are we living, but we're thriving. I feel fantastic. My face has cleared up a lot. I used to have acne. My husband used to have a lot of acne. And the food that we were eating was not great for us. It was bogging us down mentally. It's typically broken down into 3 different categories for why people go vegan: your health, for the animals, and for the planet. I feel like I know the most facts right after I watch documentaries, and I'm really excited about it. But even if the facts don't stick with me, the feeling that I got when watching it, they definitely stick with me. And the things that have stuck with me in the health realm, well, first of all, I would really suggest watching, there's a YouTube video called, I want to say it's The Leading Causes of Death by Michael Greger. He's the one that wrote How Not to Die, How Not to Diet, and then there's a How Not to Diet cookbook. I'm reading How Not to Die right now, so at some point I'll do a book review on that. The video is about an hour on YouTube. He goes through leading causes of death, but things on that list can be combated with, reversed with, slowed down by a plant-based vegan diet. And that to me, because especially growing up overweight, having family members that don't have the best of health, it's made me really nervous that I'm going to end up in that same boat. And so seeing that there is something that I could do just by eating a different way that can legit, depending on the type of cancer or the tumors, you can reverse that kind of stuff. You can reverse diseases. You can prevent that. And that really stood out to me. So that video will go through a lot, but for your health, that's just it. And cholesterol, people that have high cholesterol, one of the ways that I actually look at a food item and know if it's vegan or not is, and it's not the only way, but just one of the things that I'll do is I look, and if there's any level of cholesterol whatsoever, it's not vegan, because you only get cholesterol from animals. The end. So our bodies make cholesterol. We make the kind of cholesterol that we need, but the kind that we're getting from the animals is what's causing a lot of health problems with people when they say that they have high cholesterol. So it just, guys, the plant-based vegan diet can do so much for you. I really suggest you research it. Make sure that you're looking at your sources of where you're doing the research. But there are a lot of things out here on YouTube. You've got Plant-Based News. You've got nutritionfacts.org, which is also Michael Greger. You've got Mike the Vegan has a lot of great stuff. So even Simnut Nutrition has a lot of factual things because he actually did go to school for nutrition. But I'd really suggest looking into it because it blew my mind once I took the time. The second reason that I'm listing, but it really should be the first on my list, is the animals. We live in a day and age where we've discovered that you don't physically need animal product in your daily diet to be able to survive. We can live off of plants, we can thrive off of plants, and that, I guess that should really be the end of that right there. Like, we don't need to have this industry. And it's great because the things that we can also substitute now for meat or for cheese or for milk, they, to me, taste just as great. So it's not like we're giving up anything. And that's how I would look at it. If anyone is even slightly interested in this, I wouldn't think of it as what you're giving up. Think of it as what you're getting, what you're able to do, what you're able to have. And I mean, I love animals. I will swerve out of the way for a butterfly in the road, something really silly like that. I've like hit a squirrel when I was driving and cried. I think that all of us have something in us where we see animals and we have a place in our heart for them, and we potentially also see them in the way that we see humans. I see animals like I see humans. We're all living, thinking beings. They can't necessarily communicate to us with a language that we understand in word form, but I do think that there is a high level of intelligence there. And even the fact that we have pets, I think that shows a lot of connection between human and animals. And just because we have cats, dogs, hamsters, bunny rabbits as pets here, but in other countries, people have those as their food, and the other animals that we eat are their pets. Some people protect cows over anything else, but they'll eat dogs. So it's 100% has to do with where you grew up and what is taught to you, your culture, the society, for what we think we should eat, what we think we shouldn't eat. So what if we just thought that we didn't need to eat other living beings, other living creatures, and that we could sustain ourselves off of plants? Everyone always jokes about how, like, if you could do anything, what would you do? Oh, solve world hunger. Like, we'll feed all of the people. One statistic that's always stood with me is that if we took all of the food that we are feeding to animals and we fed people with that food, especially soy products, we wouldn't have any world hunger. We have enough food on our planet to feed everybody. We're just giving it to the wrong beings. We're giving it to cows to fatten them up, to make burgers, which is way less food than everything they're consuming. I love animals. Animals love us. We don't need to eat them to survive, so I believe, why are we? And then the third thing being our world, the environment, climate change. So I had no idea that this was related at all. But animal agriculture, you can look at it from cows burping out there. You can look at it as the industry and having to transport cows from place to place and all of the gas that goes into that. You can look at the production of all of the food they need to eat and the land that you need to be able to grow the soy, to grow the food, to sustain the animals that we're then eating. It's terrible for our environment. I know when a lot of us talk about climate change, we think about cars, we think about emissions, we think about airplanes, and that's definitely true, but there are a lot of other things that factor into what is negatively affecting our planet right now. And if we were, with everything that's involved in animal agriculture, if we were just to take animal agriculture out of the equation, that would have a better positive impact in our environment than if we took out all transportation. And to me, that just blew my mind, because we focus on certain things and we try to get so much better at certain things, like driving less. Don't leave the car on when you're not using it. And then you find out that by eating differently, you could have a larger effect than just by these little tiny things, or than by selling your car and walking everywhere completely. You make a better impact by the food that you eat. And with water, did you know that to have one burger, the amount of water that it took to sustain that cow, for the percentage of burger that came out of it, that it is 60 showers worth of water that went into making that burger. So again, we focus on the silliest things. When you're brushing your teeth, turn off the water when you're brushing. When you're taking a shower, don't take too long of a shower. Make sure that when you're washing your car, you're conscious of the water. But 60 showers worth of water is one burger. Eat an Impossible Burger. Eat a Beyond Burger. Eat a black bean patty. Eat so many other burgers that I can't even think of right now. And again, me yelling at you guys is me yelling at me. Is me being like, I can't believe it took me this long to open my eyes, to understand what information was out there, to learn the truth, and then to be able to adjust. But when we did learn everything, honestly, it took one day. We learned the information, my husband and I had a conversation, and next day we were vegan. I'm gonna tell you a little secret. We did go out and buy every single food item that we loved eating that wasn't vegan, that we knew we weren't going to be able to have again. And I probably gained 50 pounds in 24 hours. But the next day, cold turkey, we went vegan. And it's been 3.5 years. I don't have any regrets. It's fantastic because of what we've done, how our lives have changed, how great we're feeling. My mom has switched to almost completely plant-based diet. His younger brother, my brother-in-law, has switched to almost a completely plant-based diet. It's just exciting to be able to see like just different friends and coworkers that see what we're doing, have an interest, ask questions, and even if they just try a different meal, even if they just try a different restaurant, you don't need to go completely 24/7 every moment of your life eating a plant-based diet. Change happens in great ways even when you start off small. So let's say you had meatless Mondays, or all of your lunch was always vegan, or every Monday you always eat vegan. Whatever it is, even if it's just switching out your coffee to always be a non-dairy milk, it's the little steps that everybody can do that will make a big difference in the end. And I think that it will also make people just feel better, because animal products, they just clog up our body, they clog up our bloodstream, our brain, and it's not doing us any favors. I don't know even where I can possibly end this video. I'm pretty sure I got through all of my notes that I've got down here. Yeah, I said everything. But why am I vegan? How am I still alive from being vegan? Because you can survive off of it. I'm doing it for the planet. I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for the animals. I'm doing it for all of us. And it's great. Doing it for life. If anyone has any questions, I would love for you to ask them down below. Super passionate about this. I'm still learning as I go, so there are always more things out there to find out about. And I mean, don't be bogged down by the information. Just do what you can whenever you can and be open to conversation. And then also, everyone has their own time. So my brain was totally shut off until the 26, 27, and then things just kind of started changing for me. But even if you guys were curious, if you've been watching my videos and you wanted to know where my mindset's coming from, why I am the way that I am, and why I eat the way that I eat, I just wanted to make a video for you guys to explain that. So you've made it all the way to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. If you aren't subscribed already, I would love it if you would subscribe. It would mean so much to me, and I'm trying to grow my channel a little bit, more than a little bit, a lot of it. So I would love for you to see all the new videos that I'm putting out every Monday and Friday that would then pop up in your feed. So if you'd like to, give it a like, give it a subscribe. I will see you guys next time.